why did they think that they could do that
Can you
to
see the
begin
game, by
with?
the way?
I don't. Yeah.
Okay. We're streaming, just so you know.
Okay. No video, right?
Nope. No, you've convinced me.
Good. Yeah, so, okay. So, just to refresh your memory, there are now 2 separate groups from the original batch. There's probably maybe, I don't know, 80 guys left in total. The group with John Bulkley, the one that kind of usurped
Sounds interesting.
the entire squadron of castaways, usurped Captain Cheap's like position. They're the ones that actually made it, this group, but they also could be, now they have to face like potential treason for you know, doing what they did. So that's where we're at. John Bulkley, the gunner.
This is signed by Adolf Hitler.
Wait, what is that? Strang guy?
This was
Geheen.
Stöngehin Angefotian von Stadtfahrten Abteilung in Hochstorm für Atemung des Dokument auftritt den. It's basically saying materials requested, an airship.
Signed by the Fuhrer himself. A lot must be riding on this expedition.
Are you on the Zeppelin?
I am, yeah, we're about to escape it, I think.
Oh, that's cool. Is
So
that what the inside of a Zeppelin looks like?
So this is what a Zeppelin looked like. Do.
Makes sense. This kind of does. This checks out.
What am I actually doing here? Is there a hatch? Oh.
Accomodati pure.
Welcome to Giza!
No way.
Oh, we're in Egypt.
Whoa, stealth bomber.
Does it really land like that? Shit. I guess so.
They're supposed to be like really relatively light, right? These things?
I have no idea.
Herr Littler! Sind Sie fetter geworden?
Whoa, dude,
Englische
not
Pasta
cool.
vielleicht?
Ihre geistlosen Bemerkungen ziehen vielleicht bei den Schwachköpfen der Wehrmacht, Oberst Ganz. Mich interessiert vielmehr, was Sie in meiner Abwesenheit mit meiner Ausgrabungsstelle angerichtet haben.
So they've stolen pieces to the Great Circle.
Sie sind mir unterstellt.
They got like a bunch of
Finden Sie
idols
gefälligst die restlichen Relikte, damit ich sie dem Führer bringen kann, oder ich lasse sie
last time,
erschießen.
and that's what he's bringing
Fällt
back
Ihnen das
to
besser?
Egypt.
Möchten Sie das, hä?
Jetzt amüsieren Sie mich aber, Oberst. So wie ein Dorftrottel die Leute mit seinen drolligen Marotten amüsiert. Und jetzt genug der Albernheiten. Bringen Sie den Riesen zum Reden, haben Sie es verstanden?
Den Riesen werde ich heute Nachmittag eingehend verhören. Machen Sie sich mal keine Sorgen.
Geben Sie mir Bescheid, wenn Sie unweigerlich versagt haben. Dann bin ich vielleicht so nett und zeige Ihnen, wie es richtig geht.
Vielleicht sollten Sie sich lieber etwas ausruhen, bevor mich das Verlangen übermannt, Ihr ganzes Unternehmen niederzubrennen und auf die Asche zu pressen.
Ja. Die Reise war lang und Priester sind ermüdet. Fast so ermüdend wie Sie. Fahren Sie woanders mit, hier ist kein Platz mehr.
What are we doing in Egypt, I wonder?
There's an excavation site here, but
Willensschwache Männer sind am einfachsten zu
I actually don't know. And who was that guy?
The guy who just rode off in the car?
Yes.
He's like Hitler's right hand man for like supernatural artifacts.
Oh.
Yeah. Not real person.
And he was not. He was on the Zeppelin.
Yes. He was
Okay.
just in Italy.
We
He
were
was,
stowaways. Like
Yes.
we. Okay.
That's a not.
And
Nazi
nobody knew
Zeppelin.
we were on there.
No.
Okay.
Oh, Manny dropped his vase. And she's, if you remember, she's a journalist that we're working with.
Okay, so how are we gonna find your contact?
She was. Yeah. She was like at the Vatican, disguised as like a nun.
Yeah, and she's looking for her sister that's been kidnapped by,
Come on, we should get going.
who is also a journalist, I believe.
And she was kidnapped by. We don't know.
We don't know, possibly the Nazis.
Okay.
I think we can see better from up there.
Whoa.
What of you?
It is something, ain't it?
What am I taking a picture of here? Blue tent.
That's it. We should hurry.
All right, let's go to the blue tent.
Alright. Hopefully you don't fucking talk to each other while this happens.
Do you think that they asked Harrison Ford to voice the character, or do you think that they just said, "Nah, you have too much of an old man voice now.
Yeah, no.
We need someone to impersonate you"?
No, they considered her, I'm sure, for a second, but like his performance as his younger self in the newest movie was bad. Like it was bad. Like so they probably considered it for a second, probably saw that and were like, you know what? We'll just find a good sound alike.
Yeah. It needs to be fresh.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, like, sorry, dog, but it just seems like he's just got such a resentment towards certain projects of his, like the Indiana Jones and Star Wars, and it's like he gives me the vibe that he regrets his like career.
I would say he does and he doesn't. He's like apparently a grouch through and through.
And always has been.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
like he's kind of always played it off as like, I'm too cool for this. And it's like, yeah, you're the guy who was too cool to do a space opera in the 70s. But you did it. And you're the guy who was too cool to do a sci-fi cyberpunk thing in the 70s. But you did it. So, like, the thing about Harrison Ford is he'll always fucking work for a paycheck. And that's why he's playing fucking Red Hulk now. In Marvel.
Red Hulk.
Yeah. In the newest Marvel movie that's been, like, delayed for the last, like... It's been delayed for, like, the last 2 years.
The hell is Red Hulk? Is that always been a thing? What the hell?
It's one of those extended characters that most people probably don't know about. One of Hulk's enemies. Hello, my friends. Terry, you could probably start reading now if you want.
Oh,
Yeah.
alright. It's kind of fun walking around Giza though.
Wow.
Alright. This is chapter 21, A Literary Rebellion. One evening, John Bulkeley, remember that's the usurper, if that's even the right word to use. John Bulkeley went with a companion for a walk in the Brazilian countryside relishing his newfound freedom. When they returned to the house where they were staying, they noticed that the locks to the doors had been broken. The two men gingerly stepped inside. Objects were scattered about Bulkeley's bedroom as if someone had been rummaging around. Bulkeley heard a noise and turned just as two intruders leapt toward them. One struck Bulkeley, and Bulkeley struck him back. After a violent struggle, the assailants fled into the darkness. Bulkeley had recognized one of them. It was a fellow castaway who was known to do the bidding of John King, the boatswain who during the mutiny on Wager Island had punched Captain Cheap in the face. The intruders had been clearly searching Bulkeley's quarters, but what could they possibly want from a gunner who was now destitute? Bulkeley felt so uneasy that he moved with his closest companions into another lodging house in a fishing village. Here we thought ourselves safe and secure, he observed. That is so weird. Okay. A few nights later, a gang of men appeared banging on the door. Bulkeley refused to open it, declaring that it was an improper season of the night, but they kept on banging, threatening to break in. Bulkeley and his party ran around the lodging house looking for weaponry, but they could find nothing to defend themselves with, and so they sneaked out the back, climbing over a wall to escape. One member of the gang had told Bulkeley what they were after, his journal. Bulkeley had been the only person to keep a contemporaneous account on Wager Island, and King and some of his allies apparently feared what it might divulge about their roles in overthrowing Captain Cheap. The lives of the former castaways were once again at risk, only now the danger was not from the natural elements, but from the stories that they would tell the Admiralty. There was still no news of Cheap and his party, and it seemed unlikely they would ever emerge to tell their side. But what if they did? And even if they never returned, someone in Bulkeley's group might offer a conflicting account, one that implicated his compatriots in order to spare himself. As the sense of paranoia deepened, Bulkeley wrote that he'd heard King had vowed either to compel us to deliver up the journal or to take our lives. An official in Brazil remarked how strange it was that people who had undergone so many hardships and difficulties could not agree lovingly together. The forces unleashed on Wager Island were like the horrors inside Pandora's box. Once unlocked, they could not be contained.
That's in yours.
Lieutenant Baines was particularly worried as the ranking officer in the group. Bulkeley got word that the lieutenant was whispering to officials in Brazil that any blame for what had happened to Captain Cheap lay with Bulkeley and Cummings. In response, Bulkeley did what he always did. He took up his quill and scribbled a note. In a message delivered to Baines, he accused him of spreading false and vile allegations, and observed that, once they had returned to England, each of them would have to give account of his actions and justice take place. In March 1742, Baines fled on a boat for England. He wanted to arrive before the others and get his story on the record first. It took months for Bulkeley and Cummins to secure passage on another vessel, and when they stopped along the way in Portugal, they were informed by several English merchants at the port there that Baines had already made damning accusations against them. We were even advised by some of our friends there not to return to our country lest we should suffer death for mutiny, Bulkeley wrote. He told the merchants that Baines was an unreliable source who tellingly had never kept a diary on the island. Then Bulkeley revealed, like a holy writ, his own voluminous journal. When the merchants looked at it, Bulkeley claimed they found, if there was any mutiny in the case, the very person he accused us was the ringleader. Bulkeley and Cummins proceeded on their voyage home. Bulkeley was still compulsively adding to his journal. We were confident in our own innocence and determined to see our country at all events, he wrote. On January 1st, 1743, their ship dropped anchor in Portsmouth. In the distance, they could observe their houses. Bulkeley had not seen his wife and 5 children for more than 2 years. We thought of nothing but going ashore immediately to our families, Bulkeley wrote, but the Navy barred the men from leaving the ship. Baines had provided a written statement to the Admiralty in which he alleged that Cheap had been overthrown by a band of mutineers, led by Bulkeley and Cummins, who tied up the captain and deserted him on Wager Island. The Admiralty ordered both men to be detained under guard, pending a court-martial. They were now captives in their own country. So, worst case scenario fucking is happening. Bulkeley called Baines' account an imperfect narrative, arguing that a story drawn from memory, as Baines admitted his was, had less probative value than one written contemporaneously. And when Bulkeley was asked to furnish his own statement to the Admiralty, he decided to offer his entire journal, which he noted he'd risked his life to protect. Although he had composed it in the first person, he added Cummins as a co-author, likely to lend the account greater authority and to shield his best friend from punishment. The journal laid out, from their point of view, the events that had led to the uprising, including allegations that Captain Cheap had mentally unraveled and killed Cousins by shooting him in the head. If things were not carried on with that order and regularity which is strictly observed in the Navy, necessity drove us out of the common road, Bulkeley wrote. Our case was singular. Since the loss of the ship, our chiefest concern was for the preservation of our lives and liberties. In the end, they had been given no choice but to act according to the dictates of nature. When Bulkeley submitted the journal, he also handed over the supporting legalistic documents that had been drafted on the island, documents that Baines himself had conspicuously signed. The Admiralty seemed overwhelmed by the materials, and the journal on which the men's fates rested lay for some time in its offices. Finally, Bulkeley wrote, the office sent him back the journal with an order to make an abstract by way of narrative that it might not be too tedious for their lordships' perusal. Bulkeley and Cummins promptly distilled their account, returning it in with a note that said, we've strictly complied with the desire of the unfortunate Captain Cheap, whose last injunction was to give a faithful narrative to your lordships. Members of the Admiralty found themselves confounded by the competing versions of events and decided to postpone the investigation, at least until Cheap could be officially pronounced dead. Bulkeley and Cummins, meanwhile, were released after 2 weeks in confinement. Our families had long given us over for lost, Bulkeley wrote, and they looked upon us as sons, husbands, and fathers restored to them in a miraculous manner. Yet, until the judicial case was resolved, Bulkeley and his party remained in a kind of purgatory. They were denied their pay for the expedition and prevented from being employed again in His Majesty's service. After surviving the loss of the ship and combating with famine and innumerable difficulties, a remnant of us are returned to our native country, Bulkeley wrote, but even here we are still unfortunate, destitute of employment, almost without support. Bulkeley, now desperate for money, received an offer to bring a merchant ship from Plymouth to London. He sent a letter to the Admiralty pleading to be allowed to travel for the job, though he thought it was his duty to accept. He wrote he would not do so without approval, lest your lordships should imagine I had flown from justice. He added, I'm willing and desirous of abiding by the strictest trial of my conduct in regard to Captain Cheap, and hope to live to see him face to face, but in the meantime, do hope I am not to be left on the earth to perish. The Admiralty granted him permission, but he remained impoverished, and he lived with the constant fear that at any moment he and the other surviving castaways might be summoned to trial and sentenced to death. When Bulkeley was a castaway, he had stopped waiting around for others empowered to display leadership, and now months after his return to his native island, he decided to launch another kind of rebellion, a literary one. He began plotting to publish his journal. Bulkeley would shape the public's perceptions and, just as he had on the island, rallied the people to his side. Anticipating that some would consider the journal's publication a scandal, it was common for senior officers to release narratives of their voyages, but not a mere gunner. He wrote a preface to preempt criticisms of his decision. Oh, my eyeball.
Mann am Boden! Einer von uns!
Among other things, he argued that it would be unfair to presume that he and Cummins, given their status, could not possibly have produced such an exacting work. We don't set up for naturalists and men of great learning, Bulkeley wrote, but he noted, persons with a common share of understanding are capable of committing to paper daily remarks of matters worthy of their observation, especially of facts in which they themselves had so large a share. We only relate such things as could not possibly escape our knowledge, and what we actually know to be true. He also dismissed the potential complaint that he and Cummins did not have the right to divulge the secrets of what had happened to them and their crew. It has been hinted to us as if publishing this journal would give offense to some persons of distinction. We can't conceive how any transactions relating to the wager, although made ever so public, can give offense to any great man at home. Can it be any offense to tell the world that we were shipwrecked in the wager, when all the people know it already? Don't they also know that we went abroad with hopes of acquiring great riches, but are returned home as poor beggars? He went on. When persons have surmounted great difficulties, it is a pleasure for them to relate their story, and if we give ourselves the satisfaction, who has any cause to be offended? Are we who have faced death in so many shapes to be intimidated lest we should give offense to the Lord knows whom? Vocally struck a similar populist tone in defending his and Cummins' conduct on the island. He wrote that many had condemned them for being too busy and active for persons in our stations, but it was only because of their actions that anyone had made it back to England. After reading the journal, he argued people would be able to judge for themselves whether he and Cummins deserved any punishment. Our confining the captain is reckoned an audacious and unprecedented action, and our not bringing him home with us is reckoned worse, but the reader will find that necessity absolutely compelled us to act as we did. Vocally acknowledged that the authors of sea narratives liked to enhance their reputations by fabricating marvelous tales. He insisted, though, that he and Cummins had taken care to deviate from those by having a strict regard to truth. The account was something striking in English letters. Though hardly a work of literature, the journal was packed with more narrative and personal detail than a traditional logbook, and the story was told in a bracing new voice, that of a hard-nosed seaman. In contrast to the often flowery and convoluted prose of the time, it was written in a crisp style that reflected Bulkeley's personality, and was in many ways distinctly modern. The gunner declared that the journal had a plain maritime style. By the time Bulkeley and Cummins were ready to sell their manuscript, most of the members of their party had returned to England, and there was an intense public demand for any information about the shipwreck and the alleged mutiny. The two men received what they described as a considerable sum from a London bookseller to publish the journal.
Tara Gurley,
The amount, which was,
when you reach a good point, just pause the book because we're going to get into a story thing.
Oh,
You must have made a mistake, sir. There is nothing.
Not this, but
I'm
Okay.
not a tourist.
Then what
Well,
are you doing here?
maybe this
I'll
is
pause.
Invisible.
I'm from the American Embassy in Cairo. Here to investigate the dig. Tell me,
That's where my
how
grandpa
are the
worked.
Germans treating you?
really Cairo.
Well, to tell you
Yeah.
the truth, they are being quite.
They lived in Cairo for 2
They only
years.
give
That
me
was
the
his
bare
last
minimum.
station
Medical equipment.
Wow.
I don't
in the
even have
70s, I think. Like early
I know
70s?
for a fact
That
the
must have been
Germans have
tough.
supply, but they
Like
won't
late
share.
60s, early 70s?
What if someone
It was
were
either
to stumble
Iran
upon
or
some
Cairo, and he picked
unattended
Cairo.
German medicine?
And then if he went to Iran, Tehran, he would have been one of the...
Then I would
Tyrrhenian
advise that someone
hostages.
deliver it here. I would make sure it's put to good use, saving lives.
It's just a trade situation, but there's another story thing right over here. I just held off on doing it and explore a little bit more.
Okay, go for it.
Oh,
Father Litre.
I love these tents.
wow.
Gina, darling.
Do you know what?
You made it.
No. Might this be? This is Dr. Indiana Jones.
I'm an archaeologist.
Famous archaeologist.
Rings a bell. Marcus Brody's associate.
You know Marcus.
We frequent the same circles. I am Dame Nawal Shafiq Barkley, patron of history and its forgotten art.
What does Dame mean? Does that mean
And
you
as of
were
late, indulging in a spot of
you were
swine.
knighted by the queen?
Mr. Bardi here.
A dame, like D-A-M-E,
You must be famished. Come.
is the female equivalent of a knight.
Such a fascinating.
But she said
world.
Dane with an
glad to hear you
N.
say
I don't
that.
know what that is.
Why, thank you. It's quite the luxurious pavilion you have here.
Oh, have a look around, Dr. Jones.
Don't mind if I do, Dame Nawal.
No, it is Dame.
Oh, Dame. That is Dame. Dame could also
very
just
sharp eye
mean
for
like an
Paula.
unmarried woman.
Just trinkets I've collected.
Oh,
on my
so it's just
travels.
another way of saying goody.
So this great circle.
No.
I think it's a conduit. Of
Why would
human
it-
power, correct?
No one actually
certainly
uses goody. Like, that's not
He
a
believes
fucking
it'll
thing.
secure his place in history. Everything's a competition with that guy.
Tara,
It's using my
A
sister's
dame
crucifix.
is just an unmarried woman, I'm pretty
You will
sure.
find her. Everything is predestined and pre-written, as the Egyptians would say. Oh, mind feeding Osiris, Dr. Jones?
I don't think he's hungry.
Scared of snakes? Not a chance.
Must be a problem in your line of work.
Or just a mature woman as well.
Nothing would
It
make
says,
me happy.
okay, that's so funny.
Feeding
So
your
the first definition is what I said, the title given to a woman equivalent to the rank of knight, or an elderly or mature woman.
snake.
Not unmarried, but just
Dead.
a mature woman later. So that's probably what he means. I don't know why she would be knighted by the queen.
Indiana Jones is feeding a snake.
One of my spies smuggled this out of the Nazi compound, funding approval for some sort of experiment.
Unless she isn't
Designed by
knight,
Adolf Hitler.
because
She's got a British accent, so it's possible.
yeah, she's English for one thing, and she seems to run in certain circles, so maybe she is.
Of this experiment. My German is a tad rusty.
What did you get yourself into, love?
She was so absorbed in her work.
Now, could you look up Goody?
She was never really present.
Fine.
She was like a
Like,
ghost.
I hate that.
Still loves you.
So
Well, I'm still here for her.
cringy.
Doing everything I can, even though
Fucking goody.
I fucking love it.
boss has an office in the Nazi compound. Perhaps we can find more information there.
How do we get in?
I can procure work passes. Though it may take some time, I'm afraid.
It says usually married woman of lowly station.
Oh, so she's married.
Used as a title preceding a surname.
Oh, I didn't know that. I thought they were unmarried.
It says a married woman of lowly station. So like
I think you will find that rubbing.
married, but you're trash.
I'm inspecting this rubbing.
Jeez.
Jeez. Well, you're not a goody, Tara.
Yeah, Lavrov.
In both.
Boss believes it to be here, Dr. Jones.
What is it?
The word.
Perhaps this big,
Sp-
cursed with a terrible
And it's
power,
that's
according to
the
old Egyptian
archaic
legend.
definition.
It's been lost for thousands of years. No one's known where to look for it.
So why does boss think that the idol is here in Giza?
Perhaps he thinks old Khufu had it.
Khufu built the Great Pyramid as his personal tomb. If he did have the idol, then
He would want to hide its power from the world.
Power of the stone. Dame Nawal, you're a genius.
Am I?
The cat mummy.
Sorry.
The stones of the Great Circle were found inside various ancient relics, which
Okay.
could mean the idol of Ra contains another one of those stones.
Oh.
Bravo!
Don't fucking talk down to me. I'm fucking Indiana Jones.
Well, I take it you won't just idly wait here for your work passes.
I'm not really sure what was just said there.
Okay, so
From the Nazi.
right now in the game, so just to recap the series of events. After the events of the movie, he found a cat mummy in Egypt. It was a cat mummy. It had no significance to him originally, but then out of nowhere, a giant stole it from the college that he kept it at.
Mm-hmm.
The giant, for some reason, was connected to the Vatican and an ancient civilization of giants who were keeping a bunch of different relics from all around the world. So, for some reason, there is a connection to the Great Circle, which we don't really quite know exactly what it is yet. But in all of those random relics from all across the world, once they were broken open, they had a bunch of pieces of stone in it. And that's what the Nazis discovered in the Vatican with Mussolini. That cutscene that we missed. Including the cat mummy that we had. So now Indiana Jones is saying that there might be another piece of the Great Circle relic here in Egypt that they're looking for That's part.
So the cat mummy was part of the Great Circle.
Yeah, it had no significance otherwise. It was just a keeper of one of the stone relics.
And the Great Circle is a collection of particular artifacts that...
A collection of stones that we don't really quite know the purpose of yet.
Stones, okay. And we don't know why these people want them or for what purpose, but do we think that they're trying to use... Do we think that it has, like, magical properties, or, like, what?
Yeah.
So that's, like, part of it. There is magic in this universe.
View of the surroundings here in Giza.
So yeah, we think that the Nazis are interested in it because it has some sort of great power. Indiana Jones doesn't believe in it, even though he literally saw the fucking Ark of the Covenant. But... Alright, she just gave us a nice map. Sweet.
I can use this to listen to the Nazis' radio communications.
Splendid idea. Be my guest.
Why does everything she says sound like sarcastic?
مدام نوال نازلين دمروا واحدة تانية.
شكرا عمر. ربنا معك.
Dumping these.
Lost another what?
Another stone stealing. Voss is desperate for whatever information they may contain. Soon, there will be no trace of history left in this place.
Perhaps there's something I can do to help.
I'm a benefactor at the Cairo Museum. They would gladly accept any stone stealing coming their way. If you find any, bring them to me. I'll keep them safe and sound.
As long as they.
Why
end
does
up
she
being
not
used-
sound trustworthy?
Where they belong. These are my notes concerning stone stealing. Perhaps they can be of some use to you.
I feel like her direction on the voice acting
do
was a
my
little
best.
off. Try to sound convincing, not like you're planning something.
I'm not getting that impression.
Alright. Steely observation of the Cairo Museum age visit. He promised to have the work passes ready in time. The Nazis are searching for... Okay, so these are just all the locations of the Steelies. I don't know what a Steely is, but...
If there's anything you need, go to the village market.
I like how dark and, like, moody
Don't worry. I have a nose for spotting frauds.
the tent is, though. That's, like... Reminds me... Again, it reminds me of my
I
grandparents'
picked up something interesting. Come on.
house a little bit.
What do you want, Gina?
All right, I'm listening.
Statusbericht Meier. Kommen.
It's Voss.
Wir waren den ganzen Tag an der Ausgrabungsstelle bei der Sphinx. Die Männer sind erschöpft. Komm. Ja und? Haben Sie schon das Heiligtum der Wächter gefunden? Leider nein, Herr Sturmbannführer.
Sphinx.
Aber womöglich einen Eingang. Komm. Gut, gute Arbeit, Meier. Und jetzt kehren Sie zum Lager zurück. Ich werde mich jetzt der Ausgrabung widmen. Der nächste Schritt erfordert eine gewisse Expertise. Los, ab. Verstanden, Herr.
Voss seems very concerned about this excavation. What is he searching for?
He said the sanctuary of the Guardians.
Huh?
Maybe they were guardians of the idol of Ra.
Oh, we have to investigate before he returns to the site.
What is she doing?
Some yoga.
New field work. Okay. Alright. Let's just start looking around. You can continue.
Okay.
Whoa, no chin alert.
What do you mean no chin? That's a big ass chin.
Whoa, elongated chin alert. Maybe I mean to say no jaw alert.
Just an odd profile.
Yeah.
Kind of looks like a cat, if you look at it. It's kind of cat-like.
It's fucked up.
Probably intentionally cat-like. Even the nose is like a
Wait
cat.
a second. Oh my god. There was a picture in here, I thought.
What's this?
Grapes. Okay, sorry. All right. In contrast to the blah 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 blah. By the time Bulkley and Cummins were ready to sell their manuscript, most of the members of their party had returned to England, and there was intense public demand for any information about the shipwreck and the alleged mutiny. The two men received what they described as a considerable sum from a London bookseller to publish a journal. The amount, which was undisclosed, would not put an end to their financial insecurities, yet for men in their dire situation it represented an enormous price. Money is a great temptation to people in our circumstances, Bulkley acknowledged. Published 6 months after Bulkley and Cummins had returned to England, the book was called simply A Voyage to the South Seas in the years 1740 to 1741, but it contained a long, tantalizing subtitle to attract readers, which was A Faithful Narrative of the Loss of His Majesty's Ship the Wager on a Desolate Island in the Latitude 47 South, Longitude 8140 West, with the proceedings and conduct of the officers and crew, and the hardships they endured in the said island for the space of 5 months, their bold attempt for liberty in coasting the southern part of the vast region of Patagonia, setting out with upwards of 80 souls in their boats, the loss of the cutter, their passage through the Straits of Magellan, an account of the incredible hardships they frequently underwent for want of food of any kind, The book sold for 3 shillings and 6 pence a copy and was serialized in the London Magazine. Some members of the Admiralty and aristocracy expressed outrage at what they considered a two-pronged attack by a gunner and a carpenter on their commanding officer. First, they had tied up Cheap, and now they were impugning him in print. One of the Lords Commissioners of the Admiralty told Bulkley, "How dare you presume to touch a gentleman's character in so public a manner?" A naval officer told the popular weekly journal Universal Spectator, "We're ready enough likewise to blame the crew of the Wager and defend the captain. We are even apt to think that if Captain Cheap comes home, he will remove the censure that has been thrown upon his own obstinacy, and fix it upon the disobedience of those under him." Bulkley acknowledged that his defiant act of publishing the journal had in some quarters only fueled calls for his execution. But the book, later praised by one historian for carrying a true ring of the sea in every page, went into a second printing and swayed much of the public to take the side of Bulkley and his party. The historian noted that the gallant pugnacity of the book seemed to have even won some reluctant admiration from the gold-braided gentry. Bulkley had feared a written rejoinder, a countertale, but none came. He had not only published the first draft of history, he had also seemingly changed the future. He and his followers might be exiled from the Navy and might still be poor, but they were alive and free. As Bulkley had learned from his voyage, a reprieve rarely lasts. It is inevitably shattered by some unforeseen event, and it was not long before excited reports began appearing in the press that Commodore George Anson, the man who had led the expedition, was blazing a trail across the Pacific. Chapter 22, The Prize. Anson stood on the quarterdeck of the Centurion, staring across the vast watery expanse of the southeastern coast of China. It was April 1743, and it had been 2 years since he had lost sight of the Wager. He still did not know what had happened to the ship, only that she was gone. As for the Pearl and the Severn, he knew their officers had turned their scurvy-ridden, storm-beaten vessels back round Cape Horn, a decision that had caused the Pearl's captain to see himself in no other light than a disgrace. The Centurion's schoolmaster and some others had sometimes murmured that these officers had deserted Anson, but the Commodore himself had never condemned them. So remember, the one with Anson, that one did not crash. There was like a fleet of like five or six ships or something like that. Anson, they lost sight of him and then they never saw him again. So he got out of there, we think.
Okay.
That's why you need to set up proper support beams.
It seemed to trust that the officers. Although 3 other ships in Anson's squadron, the Gloucester, the Trial, and the Anna, a small cargo ship, had miraculously made it around the Horn and joined him at the rendezvous point in the fabled Juan Fernandez Islands, they too were now gone. The Anna had been devoured by the elements and scuttled for parts. Then the Trial, bereft of men and no longer seaworthy, was abandoned. Finally, the Gloucester began to leak so badly that Anson had no choice but to bury his only other vessel at sea. 3/4 of the Gloucester's roughly 400 men had already perished, and after the remainder were transferred to the Centurion, most of them so sick that they had to be hoisted on board on wooden grates. Anson had the Gloucester's hull set on fire to prevent it from falling into enemies' hands. He watched as its wooden world ignited, producing what one of his lieutenants, Philip Saumarez, called as melancholy a scene as I ever observed since I have been in the Navy. The Trial's former purser, Lawrence Milchamp, who was now on board the Centurion, wrote of the Gloucester, "She burned all night, making a most grand horrid appearance. Her guns, which were all loaded, fired so regularly that they sounded like morning guns." Okay, so these guys are also having a very hard time. Okay, the next day, as the flames reached the powder room, the hull exploded. Thus ended the Gloucester, a ship justly esteemed the beauty of the English Navy. Despite these calamities, Anson was determined to keep at least part of the expedition afloat and to fulfill his orders to circumnavigate the globe in his sole remaining ship. Before crossing the Pacific, he attempted to weaken the Spanish by capturing a few of their trading vessels and by raiding a tiny colonial town in Peru. But these victories were of meager military significance, and while making its way to Asia, the party had suffered yet another scurvy outbreak. An outbreak that caused even more suffering than before, because the men knew what was coming, the aching, the swelling, the falling teeth, the madness, and because they died in such large numbers. One officer wrote that the bodies smelled like rotten sheep, and recalled tossing overboard 6, 8, 10, or 12 in a day. Anson was anguished by the death and the failure of his mission, confessing, "I should have great pain in returning to my country after all the fatigue and hazard I have undergone in endeavoring to serve it. If I thought I had forfeited the esteem of the public." His forces had withered from some 2,000 to a mere 227. My God. And many of them were just boys. He had only a third of the complement required to properly operate a man of war of the Centurion's size. Despite the crew's many agonies, they had remained remarkably loyal to their commander. When they periodically grumbled, he might read aloud to them the rules and regulations, making sure that they were aware of the punishment for disobedience, but he had avoided the lash. "We had the example of a brave, humane, equal-minded, prudent commander," an officer on the Centurion said of Anson, adding, "His temper was so steady and unruffled that the men and officers all looked on him with wonder and delight, and could not for shame betray any great dejection under the most imminent danger." On one occasion, after Anson had anchored the Centurion by an uninhabited island in the Pacific, he went ashore with many of the men. A storm whipped up and the Centurion vanished. Anson and his party, like their brethren on the wager, found themselves castaways on a desolate island. Oh my God, no, Anson's oh my God, he's fucking stranded too. Oh my God, what a fucking... This is
Never
like...
ends for these people.
Oh fuck. God, this is a whole nother group of from the same expedition. "It is almost impossible to describe the sorrow and anguish that possessed us," Milchamp wrote. "Grief, discontent, terror, and despair seemed visible in the countenance of every one of us. Days passed, and Anson, fearing the Centurion had been lost forever, planned to expand a tiny transport boat that they had on the island into a vessel large enough to carry them to the nearest safe port on the coast of China, 1,500 miles away. "Unless we wish to end our days here in this wild place," Anson told the men, "we must put our backs into the work before us, and each labor as much for himself as for his shipmates." The Commodore joined in the toil, putting himself, as one of the men recalled it, on the same level as the meanest sailor in his crew. Milchamp noted that the sight of Anson, along with all the other senior officers, sharing in the hardest tasks, made everyone endeavor to excel, and indeed we soon found that our work went on with great spirit and vigor. 3 weeks after the Centurion went missing, it reappeared. The ship had been damaged while being swept out to sea. All this time, its crew had struggled to return. After a joyous reunion, Anson pressed on with their voyage around the world. Now, while sailing through the South China Sea, Anson summoned his men on deck and climbed onto the roof of his cabin to address them. The party had recently stopped in Canton, where they had repaired and resupplied the Centurion, and where Anson had let it be known that he intended to return to England at last, bringing an end to their doomed endeavor. The governor of Manila in the Philippines had passed on to the King of Spain a report that the English were tired of their venture, having accomplished nothing. Peering down from the cabin roof, Anson shouted, "Gentlemen, and all of you, my gallant lads, forward! I have sent for you, now that we are once more clear of the shore, to declare to you where we are bound." He paused, then cried, "Not to England." Anson, that inscrutable card player, revealed that all his talk about heading home had been a ruse. He had studied the timing and patterns that the Spanish galleon historically followed on its route, and he had gathered further intelligence from sources in China. Based on all this information, he suspected that the galleon would soon be off the coast of the Philippines, and he planned to try to intercept it. After all their squandered blood, this was their chance to strike a blow against their enemy and obtain the valuable treasure said to be on board. He dismissed the fearsome tales that the Spanish galleons had holes so thick they were impenetrable to cannon fire, yet he acknowledged that their adversary would be formidable. Looking at his crew, he declared that the spirit that had carried them this far, and that had helped them weather the gales of Cape Horn and the ravages of the Pacific, that spirit in you, my lads, would be enough to prevail. One naval historian later described Anson's gambit as an act of desperation by a commander who faced professional ruin, a last throw by a gambler who had lost all. The crew waved their hats and gave 3 loud cheers, promising to share with him victory or death. Anson turned the Centurion towards Samar Island, the 3rd largest in the Philippines, about 1,000 miles to the southeast. He had the men drill constantly, firing their muskets at objects hung like disembodied heads from the yardarms, running cannons in and out, and practicing with cutlasses and swords in case they had to board the enemy's ship. And when all these drills were done, Anson made everyone do them again, faster. His edict was simple: prepare or perish. On May 20th, a lookout spotted Cape Espiritu Santo, the northernmost point of Samar Island. Anson immediately ordered members of the crew to furl the top-gallant sails so the ship would be harder to spy from a distance. He wanted the edge of surprise. For weeks under the beating sun, he and his party cruised back and forth in hopes of spotting the galleon. One officer wrote in his logbook, "Exercising our men at their quarters in great expectation." Later he added, "Keeping in our stations and looking out." But after a month of exhausting drills and searching in the sultry heat, the men were losing hope of seeing their quarry. All hands began to look very melancholy, Lieutenant Saumarez wrote in his logbook. On June 20th, the dawn broke at 5:40 a.m. As the sun crept over the sea, a lookout shouted that he'd seen something far to the southeast. Anson on the quarterdeck picked up his telescope and glassed the horizon. There, on the jagged edge of the sea, he spied several white specks, top-gallant sails. The vessel, miles away, bore no Spanish flag, but as it came further into focus, he had no doubt that it was the galleon, and she was alone. Ordering all hands to clear the decks for action, Anson gave chase. Our ship immediately grew into ferment, Millichamp noted. Every man was ready to assist, and everyone thought the thing could not be well done without having a hand in it. For my part, I thought they would all have run mad with joy. They knocked down cabin partitions to make more room for the gun crews, dumped overboard any livestock that was in the way, and tossed any unnecessary timber that might shatter under fire and rain down lethal splinters. Sand was sprinkled on the decks to make them less slippery. Men working the cannons were given rammers and sponges, and priming irons and horns and rods, and in case of fire, tubs of water. Down in the magazine room, the gunner and his mates distributed gunpowder to the powder monkeys, who then ran them up the ladders and through the ship, making sure not to trip and cause an explosion. Was there a cutscene?
I got killed.
Oh. making sure not to trip and cause an explosion before the battle had begun. Lanterns were extinguished, and so was the galley stove. In the bowels of the orlop deck, George Allen, who had begun the voyage as a 25-year-old surgeon's mate and through attrition became the chief surgeon, prepared with his loblolly boys for the expected casualties, building an operating table from sea chests, organizing bone saws and bandages, and laying on the floor a sail canvas that would prevent his men from slipping on blood. The Spanish called the galleon Our Lady of Covadonga. Covadonga. The men inside it must have recognized that they were being chased, but they did not attempt to flee, perhaps because of courage, or perhaps because they did not expect the Centurion to be in any condition to fight. They were under the command of an experienced officer, Geronimo Montero, who had served on the Covadonga for 14 years. He had orders to defend a treasure-filled ship to the death, and if necessary to blow it up before it fell into enemy hands. Montero turned the Covadonga and headed boldly toward the Centurion. The two vessels approached each other on a collision course. Anson peered through his telescope, trying to assess the enemy's strength. The galleon's gun deck extended 124 feet, 20 feet shorter than the Centurion's, and compared to the Centurion's 60 cannons, many of which fired 24-pound balls, the galleon had only 32 guns, the largest mere 12-pounders in terms of firepower. The Centurion was clearly superior. But Montero had one crucial advantage. His ship was carrying 530 people, 300 more than the Centurion, and the men on the Covadonga were generally healthy. For all of Anson's potent gunnery, he lacked sufficient hands to operate his full arsenal while maintaining enough crew to manage the ship. He decided to deploy only half the Centurion's guns, those on the starboard side, which was safe to do now that he knew there was no second Spanish ship to attack his other flank. Still, he did not have enough crewmen to handle all the starboard guns, so rather than assign at least 8 people to operate each cannon, as was customary, he designated just 2. Each pair would be strictly responsible for loading and sponging the muzzle. Meanwhile, several squads, each consisting of about a dozen people, would be tasked with sprinting from gun to gun, running them forward and lighting them. Anson hoped that this approach would allow him to maintain a continuous blaze of fire. The Commodore made one other tactical decision. Having noticed that the galleon's plank sidings above the gunwales were surprisingly low, which left its officers and crew exposed on deck, Anson stationed a dozen of his finest marksmen on the mast tops. Perched high above the sea, they would have a clear vantage point for picking off their enemies. As the ships continued to converge, the dueling commanders mirrored each other's actions. After Anson's men cleared their decks, Montero's crew did the same, throwing overboard bellowing cattle and other screaming livestock like Anson. Montero placed some of his men with small arms on the mast tops. Montero raised his crimson Spanish royal flag and blazoned the castles and lions, and then Anson hoisted his British colors. Both commanders opened their gun ports and ran out the black muzzles. Montero fired a shot and Anson replied with his own. The blast were meant merely to rattle the other side. Given the inaccuracy of cannons, they were still too far away to truly engage. Shortly past noon, when the two ships were about 3 miles apart, a storm arose, rain rifled down, and winds boomed, and the sea smoked with mist, God's own battlefield. At times, Anson and his men lost sight of the galleon, though they knew it was out there, moving with all its metal. Afraid of a stealthy broadside, they scoured the sea, then a cry went out. It was over there! And the men glimpsed it before it vanished again. Each time the galleon emerged, it was closer, 2 miles away, then 1, then half a mile. Anson, not wanting to engage the enemy until it was within pistol shot, ordered the men to hold their fire. Every blast must count. After the excitement of the chase, there was now an unnerving stillness. The crew knew some of them might soon be missing an arm or a leg or worse. Salmarez, the lieutenant, noted that he hoped to face death cheerfully whenever duty called on him. Some of Anson's men were so anxious their stomachs cramped. The rain stopped and Anson and his crew could clearly see the black mouths of the galleon's cannons. The ship was less than 100 yards away. The wind dropped and Anson tried to maintain enough sail to maneuver, but not so much as to make the ship unruly or to give the enemy lots.
I'm going into a haunted tomb.
Ooh. Lots of large targets that if hit could cripple the Centurion. What the hell? Radio.
It was just a radio? Hope whoever reads this is a friend. I know that I am a spy of N. The Nazis must not have this artifact. I could not smuggle it out of here. It seems important. They are onto me. I feel them watching me during the work shift. I don't have much time. I hope this radio on the haunted sounds will scare them off long enough. The Nazis are very stupid, so it should buy us some time. Maybe they will leave us before they find it, if God wills it. Oh, it's one of these weird relics.
Beautiful.
I don't know what these relics are for just yet, but that was an interesting little thing. Alright, you can probably go back to reading now.
Okay. Anson guided his ship across the galleon's wake and then swiftly came abreast of the Covadonga from the leeward side, so it would be harder for Montero to escape downwind. 50 yards away. 25. Anson's men were silent fore and aft, awaiting the Commodore's command. At 1 p.m., the two ships were so close their yardarms nearly touched, and Anson finally gave the signal. Fire. The men on the mast tops began to shoot. Their muskets crackled and flashed. Smoke stung their eyes. As the barrels recoiled and the Centurion's mast swayed with the rolling ship, they braced themselves with ropes to keep from plunging to an inglorious death. After discharging a musket, a shooter would grab another cartridge, bite off a wad of paper at the top, and pour a small amount of black powder into the gun's flash pan. Then he would jam the new cartridge, which contained more powder in a lead ball about the size of a marble, into the barrel using a ramrod, and fire again. Initially, these sharpshooters targeted their counterparts in the galleon's rigging, who were trying to pick off the Centurion's officers and crew. Both sides were fighting a battle from the sky. Balls whizzed through the air, ripping through sails and ropes and occasionally a chunk of flesh. Anson and Montero had also unleashed their cannons, whereas Montero's men were able to fire broadsides, simultaneously blasting all the cannons in a row. Anson's crew relied on his unconventional system to set off the guns in rapid succession. The moment after a squad on the Centurion discharged a cannon, the men ran the gun back in and closed the porthole to shield themselves from incoming fire. Then the two loaders began to swap the sizzling barrel and prepare the next round while the squad raced on to another loaded cannon, priming it and pointing it and lighting the match, then jumping out of the way before they became casualties of their own recoiling 2-ton weapon. The guns rattled and roared, the breeches strained, and the decks shook. The men's ears ached from the murderous ringing, and their faces were powder blackened. Nothing was to be seen but fire and smoke, nor heard but the thunder of the cannon, which was fired so quick that it made one continued sound, Millichamp noted. Anson watched the unfolding battle from the quarterdeck, his sword in hand. Through the choking smoke, he detected a flickering on the galleon's stern. A stretch of netting had caught fire. The flames were spreading, creeping halfway up the mizzenmast. It threw Montero's men into a state of confusion, yet the two vessels were close enough that the fire threatened to engulf the Centurion too. So using axes, Montero's men cut away the burning mast of netting and wood until it fell into the sea. The fighting continued, the noise so deafening that Anson conveyed his orders with hand signals. The galleon's cannons were spraying the Centurion with a malignant mix of nails and stones and lead balls, as well as chunks of iron linked by bits of chain, an assortment very well contrived for death and murder, as the schoolmaster Pasco Thomas put it. The Centurion's sails and shrouds had begun to shred, and several cannonballs had smashed into the hull. Whenever one hit below the waterline, the carpenter and his crew hurried to fill the hull with wooden plugs so the sea would not swamp them. A 9-pound cast-iron ball struck one of Anson's men, Thomas Richmond, directly in the head, decapitating him.
Oh my god.
Another seaman was hit in the leg, and as his artery spouted blood, his mates carried him down to the orlop deck, where he was laid on the operating table. As the ship convulsed from the explosions, the doctor, Allen, grabbed his blades and, without anesthesia, began to cut off the man's leg. A naval surgeon described how challenging it was to operate in these conditions. At the very instant when I was amputating the limb of one of our wounded seamen, I met with an almost continual interruption from the rest of his companions who were in the like distressful circumstances. Some pouring forth the most piercing cries to be taken care of, while others seized my arms in their earnestness of being relieved, even at the time I was passing the needle for securing the divided blood vessels by a ligature. While Alan worked, the ship shook continuously from the recoil of the large cannons. The doctor managed to saw off the leg just above the knee and to cauterize the wound with boiling tar, but the man soon died. Ooh.
السلام عليكم يا أستاذ.
كيف خلوك أنت؟
What language is this?
What language is what?
What Indie speaking?
It's weird. It says there's only an hour and 22 minutes left in the book, but it's only 37% done. I'm confused.
What the hell? Have we've been reading this book since Rat Tail 2, right?
It's been a while.
Rat Tail, Tales of the Rat. For this in the Great Pyramids of Giza.
Alright, we're in the middle of a battle. Let's just keep going.
Yeah.
So the battle raged on. Anson realized that the enemy's gun ports were very narrow, limiting the movement of its muzzles. And so he maneuvered his ship to lie nearly perpendicular to the galleon, thereby depriving many of the enemy's guns of a clear shot. The Covadonga's cannonballs began to soar wide of the Centurion and into the sea, where they sent up harmless waterspouts. The Centurion's gun ports were larger, and Anson's squads used hand spikes and crowbars to point their cannons squarely at the galleon. The Commodore gave the signal to fire the heaviest balls, the 24-pounders, at the enemy's hull. At the same time, some of Anson's men raked the Covadonga's sails and rigged with chain shot, paralyzing her on the sea. The galleon shuddered amid a pitiless storm of metallic hail. Anson's sharpshooters in the tops had taken out their counterparts in the galleon's rigging, and they were sniping one Spaniard after another on the decks. Montero exhorted his men to fight for their king and country, shouting that life was meaningless without honor. A musket ball glanced off his chest. He was stunned but stayed on the quarterdeck until a flying splinter speared his foot. Then he was taken below, joining the mass of wounded. He left in charge the sergeant major, who was promptly shot in the thigh. The head of the soldier on board tried to rally the crew, but his leg was blown off. As the schoolmaster, Thomas noted the Spanish, being frightened by seeing abundance fall dead before them every moment, began to run from their quarters and to tumble down the hatchways and scuttle in heaps. After an hour and a half of unrelenting fire, the galleon lay motionless, her masts cracked, her sails in pieces, her hull rife with holes. The mythic ship was indeed mortal. On its deck, amid the strewn bodies and eddies of smoke, a man was seen staggering toward the mainmast, where the Spanish royal flag hung in tatters. Anson signaled to his crew to hold their fire. For a moment, the world fell quiet, and Anson and his party watched in exhaustion and relief as the man on the galleon began to lower the flag, signaling surrender. Montero, who was still below and unaware of what was happening on deck, told an officer to quickly detonate the powder room and sink the ship. The officer replied, "It is too late." Anson dispatched Lieutenant Salmarez with a party to take possession of the galleon. When Salmarez stepped on board the Covadonga, he recoiled at seeing its decks promiscuously covered with carcasses, entrails, and dismembered limbs. One of Anson's men confessed that war was awful to anyone with a humane disposition. The British had lost just 3 men. The Spanish had seen nearly 70 killed and more than 80 injured. Oh my god, are you kidding me?
Wow.
The British lost 3 guys, and the Spanish lost like 80? Shit.
Wow. Sounds like we have a little bit of a story thing here.
Okay.
Assalamu alaikum.
واو انت زميل نوال صح انا شفتك في خيمتها.
We've actually met before at the Cairo Museum. Professor Omar, right?
I don't think. Hold on. Dr. Jones? I didn't recognize you without the suit.
It's funny, I don't recognize myself when I'm wearing it. And please, call me Indiana.
You may call me Alma.
I'm here to help Nawal.
Well, then I think you...
Her name is Narwhal, like the mythical creature.
An ostracon. Scrap pottery used by the ancient Egyptians to carve messages. Where did you find this?
It was smuggled out of the dig site over there from one of the workers. Look what it says.
On her deathbed, the servant revealed a secret, Vala. The Queen Mother and to her grave. The tomb was excavated in 32.
But the secret was never found. The Germans have been searching, but the dig is on hold after a recent setback. No one gets down to the tomb. Whatever is down there, it must be kept out of the hands of the Germans.
I'll see what I can do about that, Professor.
Thank you, Indiana. And whatever you find, bring it to Noel.
Very nice. Cleavers. These are some of Napoleon's finest men from various fields within the Commission of Arts and Sciences. You know how important it is. His campaign to General Bonaparte. Oh, is this an ancient letter? See to it that the delegation is taken care of like they are your children, rigorously and protected from the danger of the desert, and well fed with wine and good food. General Cleaver. It's an old ass letter.
Dig on that table.
Napoleon's right-hand man during the Egyptian campaign.
Yeah, wow. It's an old ass fucking letter. From when Napoleon had his people. Whoa, why am I? Jesus Christ. What's going on? Indiana won't stop running. Okay. Indiana, stop running. Kentawa's dig map.
Alright.
That's how they found the Rosetta Stone, Terra Girl.
Thanks, Omar.
What do you mean?
It was. I think it was Napoleon's guys that found the Rosetta Stone when they were
in Cairo?
In Egypt. Yeah, I don't know exactly where they found it, but
okay.
Okay. Sorry, you can continue.
All right. Okay. So Saumarez and his party secured the prisoners, assuring them they would be treated well because they had fought with honor, then descended with lanterns into the galleon's smoky hold. Storage bags and wooden chests and other containers were stacked on top of one another, disordered from the battle. Water had seeped inside from gouges in the ship's hull. The men opened a bag, but found only cheese, when a man pressed his hand deep into the soft, fatty substance, though he felt something hard. Treasure. The party examined a large porcelain vase. It was filled with gold dust. Other bags were stuffed with silver coins, tens of thousands of them. No, hundreds of thousands of them, and the chests abounded with more silver, including hand-wrought bowls and bells and at least a ton of virgin silver. Everywhere the party discerned more riches. Jewels and money were tucked under floorboards, and in the false bottoms of sea chests, Spain's colonial plunder was now Britain's. Oh my god. It was the largest treasure ever seized by a British naval commander, the equivalent today of nearly $80 million. Anson and his party had captured the greatest prize of all the oceans. A year later, on June 15th, 1744, after removing the treasure and circling the globe in the Centurion, Anson and his men finally returned to England. The other British military offensives during the War of Jenkins' Ear had been largely grisly failures, and the conflict was at a stalemate. The taking of the galleon would not change the outcome, but here at last was news of a victory. Great Britain's triumph, as one headline put it. Anson and his men were greeted by jubilant throngs when they arrived in London. The officers and crew led a procession with the bundles of silver and gold carted on 32 heavily guarded wagons. A share of the prize money was given to each seaman, about 300 pounds, some 20 years' worth of wages. Oh wow. Anson, who was soon promoted to Rear Admiral, was awarded about 90,000 pounds, the equivalent today of $20 million. As a band sounded French horns and trumpets and kettle drums, the party marched over Fulham Bridge and through the city streets, past Piccadilly and St. James's. At Pall Mall, Anson stood beside the Prince and the Princess of Wales, peering out at the delirious crowds, a scene that one observer compared to the Roman games. As the historian N.A.M. Roger had noted, it was the treasure of the galleon triumphantly paraded through the streets of London, which did something to restore battered national self-esteem. A sea ballad was later composed with the lines, "The wagon loads of money come, and all taken by brave Anson." Amid all the hoopla, the scandalous wager affair seemed to blissfully fade away, but almost 2 years later, on a March day in 1746, a boat arrived in Dover, carrying a thin, stern man with eyes fixed like bayonets. It was the long-lost Captain David Cheap, and accompanying him were the Marine Lieutenant Thomas Hamilton and the midshipman John Byron. Oh,
Wow.
shit.
Is that the end?
No.
Oh.
Oh, I want to keep going. Chapter 23. Grub Street House.
But a rest, would you?
So 5.5 years. That's how long the three men had been gone from England. Presumed dead, they had been mourned, and yet here they were like three Lazaruses. They began to unspool details of what had happened, days after they had returned to Wager Island following their failed attempt to leave, and after they had buried their murdered companion. A small party of native Patagonians had appeared in 2 canoes. At that time, Cheap, Byron, and Hamilton were stranded with 10 other castaways, including Midshipman Campbell and the surgeon, Elliot. A Patagonian man approached them and addressed them in Spanish, which Elliot could understand. The man said that his name was Martin, and that he was a member of a seafaring people known as the Chono. They lived farther north than the Kaweskar people, who had visited earlier. Martin indicated that he'd been to Chiloé Island, the site of the nearest Spanish settlement, and the castaways beseeched him to help them navigate their one remaining boat, the barge there. In exchange, they'd give him the barge when they arrived. Martin agreed, and on March 6, 1742, they set out along with the other Chono, hugging the coast as they rowed northward. Soon afterward, while many in the party were searching for food along the shore, 6 of the castaways absconded with the barge, never to be heard from again. What could provoke the villains to so foul a deed I cannot tell, except it was their cowardice, Cheap recalled in his account. Midshipman Campbell, however, had overheard the deserters whispering about their desire to be free of their monomaniacal captain. The Chono continued piloting the group across the Golfo de Penas toward Chiloé Island. Without the barge, they proceeded in the Chono's canoes, stopping periodically to gather food on shore. During the journey, a castaway died, leaving only 5 poor souls, as one of them put it, Cheap, Byron, Campbell, Hamilton, and Elliot. Byron had always thought that Elliot would be the most likely among them to survive, but this once indomitable man was growing weaker and weaker until he lay down on a barren stretch of shoreline. His body was shriveled to the bone and his voice was fading. He fumbled for his one valuable possession, his pocket watch, and offered it to Campbell. Then Campbell noted he departed this miserable life, Byron lamenting how they scraped a hole for him in the sand, seemed burdened by the arbitrary nature of their fates. Why had so many of his companions died, and why should he live? As the 4 castaways continued across the gulf, they followed their Chono guide's advice about when to row and when to rest, and how to find shelter in limpets. Even so, the castaways' accounts betrayed their inherent racism. Byron routinely referred to the Patagonians as savages, and Campbell complained, "We durst not find the least fault with their conduct, they looking upon themselves as our masters, and we finding ourselves obliged to submit to them in all things." But the castaways' feelings of superiority were upended daily. When Byron plucked some berries to eat, one of the Chonos snatched them from his hand, indicating that they were poisonous. Thus, in all probability, did these people now save my life, Byron wrote. After traveling some 70 miles, the castaways could see to the northwest the Cape of the Gulf that they had previously failed around. To their surprise, their guides didn't lead them in that direction. Instead, they hauled the canoes on land and proceeded to break the boats apart, each one separating into 5 distinct components, which made them easier to transport. Everyone was given a piece to lug except for Cheap, which, without any more dreams to sustain him, he seemed to be disintegrating not only physically but mentally. Hoarding his small bits of food and muttering to himself, he required help walking the moment the trek started. The castaways followed Martin and his party overland along a secret path an 8-mile portage route through the wilderness, which allowed them to avoid the perilous seas around the cape. They trudged through a swamp with their knees and sometimes their waists submerged. Byron realized that the theft of the barge had made things easier. There was no way they could have dragged it over land. Even without it, Byron grew exhausted, and after a few miles he collapsed under a tree where, as he put it, he gave way to melancholy reflections. He'd seen others finally give in to the tempting prospect of dissolving into another world. At least it would require no more labor to get there. But Byron forced himself to stand. These reflections would answer no end. At the end of the portage, the Chono reassembled the canoes and launched them into a channel that wound between the fractured islands off Chile. For weeks, the party edged northward, rowing from channel to channel, fjord to fjord, until one day in June 1742, the castaways glimpsed a headland in the distance. It was, Martin announced, Chiloé Island. To get there, they still had to cross a gulf that opened into the unobstructed Pacific and that was so perilous it had served as a natural barrier to Spanish incursions farther south. They were in a most dreadful hollow sea, dangerous indeed for any open boat, Byron noted, but 1,000 times more for their tiny canoes. Hamilton decided to wait several days with one of the Chono before daring an attempt, but the 3 other castaways set out in a canoe with Martin, who constructed a small sail from bits of blankets to propel them. It began to snow, and the boat sprung a leak. Byron frantically bailed, while Cheap mumbled into the wind. They pressed on through the night, the boat teetering, but as the sun rose, the castaways made it across the passage and touched the southern tip of Chiloé. It had been 3 months since they had departed Wager Island, and nearly a year since they had been shipwrecked. As Byron wrote, he and the other castaways with him hardly appeared the figures of men. Cheap was in the gravest condition. I could compare his body to nothing but an ant-hill, with thousands of those insects crawling over it, Byron noted. He was now past attempting to rid himself from this torment, as he had quite lost himself, not recollecting our names that were about him or even his own. His beard was as long as a hermit's. His legs were as big as millposts, though his body appeared nothing but skin and bone. The men trudged several miles through heavy snow to an indigenous village, where the inhabitants provided them food and shelter. They made a bed of sheepskins close to the fire for Captain Cheap and laid him upon it, Byron wrote, and indeed had it not been for the kind assistance he now met with, he could not have survived. Though Byron and Campbell had grown weary of Cheap's tempestuous leadership, they clung to the notion that the captain's original plan might have succeeded had Bulkley and his party not abandoned them. There had been no Spanish armada lurking off Chiloé, and perhaps they could have crept into a harbor undetected and seized a defenseless trading vessel, doing considerable service to our country. As Campbell put it, or perhaps this was a fantasy that simply made it easier to live with the choices they had made. Hamilton soon joined the party, one night after they had begun to recover. Even Cheap had rebounded some. They feasted on fresh meat and drank liquor brewed from barley. We all made merry, Campbell wrote, adding, we thought ourselves once more in the land of the living. Byron, who had 2 birthdays since leaving England, was now 18. In a few days they set out for their village. As they made their way, a phalanx of Spanish soldiers suddenly descended upon them. After enduring tempests, scurvy, shipwreck, abandonment, and starvation, the castaways were now captives.
Jesus.
How many minutes left in the chapter? Let's see. 13 minutes left in the chapter. Let's just finish this chapter. So I was now reduced to the infamous necessity of surrendering myself, Cheap noted, which he called the greatest misfortune that can befall a man. When he was initially handed a document acknowledging his submission to the Spanish crown, and told to sign it in exchange for food, he indignantly tossed it to the ground, saying the officers of the King of England could die of hunger, but they disdained to beg. Yet it didn't matter that he would not sign it. There was no way out, and Cheap and the others were eventually transported in a ship to Valparaiso, a city on the Chilean mainland. They were thrown into what was called the Condemned Hole, which was so dark that they were unable to see one another's faces. There was nothing but 4 bare walls, Byron wrote, and a swarm of fleas. As people from the region came to catch a glimpse of the prized prisoners, the guards would take them out of the hole and parade them about like circus animals. The soldiers made a pretty penny, as they took money from every person for the sight, Byron noted. 7 months after the 4 men were apprehended, they were moved again, this time to Santiago, where they met with the governor. He considered them prisoners of war, but also gentlemen, and he treated them kindlier. He granted them parole, and as long as they did not try to communicate with anyone in England, they were allowed to live outside the prison. Wow, okay. One evening they were invited to dine with Don José Pizarro, the Spanish admiral who had chased Anson's squadron for months after its departure from England. Pizarro's armada, it turned out, had tried to round Cape Horn ahead of the British ships, hoping to intercept them in the Pacific, but it too had been almost completely wiped out by storms. Why is anyone even trying to go? Every single ship crashes. One warship with 500 men had vanished, another with 700 had sunk. Because of delays from the weather, the 3 remaining warships had run out of food. Sailors had started catching rats and selling them to one another for $4 apiece. Most of the seamen had eventually starved to death, and Pizarro, after snuffing out a mutiny...
How is there anyone left?
What?
How is there anyone left? I don't understand. How many people could starve to death?
This is different. This is this was the Spanish. Remember in the beginning, there was a whole, like, a thing where the Spanish were, the enemy?
Yeah.
Like they were an issue. These 3, so it's Cheap, Byron, and Campbell. They are the only 3 left from, minus Bulkley, the guys in Brazil. These guys are the remaining 3 of the fleet that are still stranded. And they got, they went to Patagonia, they got help from these Spanish guys named the Chonos, and they took them. They took them through. But knowing who they were actually, after they were like, you know, they saved their lives and gave them food and shelter for a little bit and rehabilitated them, then they were taken prisoner because they are the enemy. But they were talking about how the Spanish fleets, at the time that the Wager and the Centurion and that entire thing went out, they went around the Horn to try to intercept them, but they fucked up because the Horn destroyed them. Anyway. Though Cheap and the others were no longer in prison, they couldn't leave Chile, and their lives moved glacially. Every day here seems to me an age, Cheap lamented. Finally, 2.5 years after they had been captured, they were told that they could go home. Although the War of Jenkins Ear was never formally resolved, major offenses between Britain and Spain had ceased, and the countries had reached an agreement to exchange any prisoners. Cool. So Cheap embarked on a ship with Byron and Hamilton, whom he referred to as my 2 faithful companions and fellow sufferers. Campbell, however, was left behind. After so many years in captivity, he'd grown close to his Spanish captors, and Cheap accused him of having converted to Catholicism and shifted his allegiance from England to Spain. If true, members of the Wagers Company had now perpetrated virtually every grave sin under the Articles of War, including treason. As Cheap, Byron, and Hamilton made their way back home, they sailed past Wager Island and round Cape Horn, as if they were journeying through the ravaged past. Yet in the everlasting mystery of the sea, this time the passage was relatively calm. When they reached Dover, Byron immediately set out for London on a loaned horse. Now 22, he was dressed like a pauper, and with no spare change, he sped past the toll gates. He later recalled that he had been obliged to defraud by riding as hard as I could through them all, not paying the least regard to the men who called out to stop me. Clattering along the muddy cobblestone roads, he raced through fields and hamlets, through suburbs spreading outward from London, the largest city in Europe with a population approaching 700,000. The city, that great and monstrous thing, Defoe called it, had grown even in the years since Byron had been gone. The old houses and churches and shops now crowded amid new brick buildings and tenements and stores. The streets were jammed with coaches and carriages with noblemen and traders and shopkeepers. London was the pulsing heart of an island empire built on the toll of seamen and slavery and colonialism. Byron reached Great Marlborough Street in a fashionable area in central London. He went to an address where a few of his closest friends had lived. The place was boarded up, having been absent so many years, and in all that time never having heard a word from home. I knew not who was dead or who was living or where to go next, Byron wrote. He stopped at a dry goods shop that his family used to frequent and inquired about his siblings. He was informed that his sister Isabella had gotten married to a lord and was living nearby in Soho Square, an aristocratic neighborhood with large stone houses built around a bucolic garden. Byron walked there as quickly as he could and knocked on the door of his sister's house, but the porter looked askance at the alien figure. Byron prevailed upon the man to let him inside where Isabella was standing, a thin, elegant woman who later wrote a book on etiquette. She looked bewilderedly at her visitor, then realized it was none other than her dead brother. With what surprise and joy my sister received me, he wrote. The 16-year-old boy she had last seen was now a hardened seaman. Ah, so his sister was alive. And he found her.
Oh.
David Cheap made his way to London as well. He was nearly 50, and during his long time in captivity, he had seemingly kept revisiting every disastrous incident, every cruel snub. Now he discovered that John Bulkeley had accused him, in a book no less, of being an incompetent and murderous commander, a charge that could not end only his military career but his life. Cheap, in a letter to an Admiralty official, decreed Bulkeley and his associates as liars, for what can be expected of such poltrons, after most inhumanely abandoning us and destroying at their departure everything they thought could be of any use to us. Cheap burned to tell his own version, but he wouldn't play Bulkeley's game and publish a book. Instead, he would save his testimony and fury for a forum more determinative, a court-martial composed of a panel of judges, all of them commanding officers like him. He prepared a sworn deposition detailing his allegations, and in a letter to the Secretary of the Admiralty, he insisted that once a judicial hearing was complete, I flattered myself that my conduct will appear unblameable both before and after our shipwreck. In one of his few public comments, he remarked, I have nothing to say for nor against the villains until the day of trial, when, he added, there would be nothing to stop these men from hanging. The story, or stories, of the expedition continued to capture the public imagination. The press had grown exponentially, fueled by the loosening of government censorship and by wider literacy. And to satisfy the public's insatiable thirst for news, there had emerged a professional class of scribblers who earned a living from sales rather than from aristocratic patronage, and whom the old literary establishment derided as Grub Street hacks. Grub Street had been part of a poor area in London with doss houses and brothels and fly-by-night publishing ventures, and Grub Street, sniffing a good story, now seized on the so-called affair of the wager. The Caledonian Mercury reported that Bulkeley and the mutinous crew had physically attacked not only Cheap and Hamilton, but also their entire faction, bound them hand and foot before leaving them to the disposal of more merciful barbarians. Another story offered Hamilton's view that Cheap's behavior was often mysterious and always arrogant and high. Looking back now, though, it was clear to Hamilton that the captain had always acted under the guidance of a sagacious foresight. Once the broadsheet newspapers and periodicals were filled with breathless reports, book publishers competed to release first-hand accounts from the former castaways. Shortly after Cheap returned to England, Campbell arrived in another vessel from Chile.
Something for Gina.
he published his own narrative exceeding 100 pages called The Sequel to Bulkeley and Cummins' Voyage to the South Seas, in which he defended himself from allegations of treason, but soon after he fled the country and joined the Spanish military. John Byron believed that Bulkeley had tried to justify what could not be considered in any other light than that of direct mutiny. Though Byron might have released his own version, he seemed reluctant to speak poorly of his superior officers and indulge in what he called egotism. Meanwhile, other accounts proliferated. One booklet by a Grub Street hack, an affecting narrative of the unfortunate voyage and catastrophes of His Majesty's ship Wager, noted that it had been compiled from authentic journals and transmitted by letter to a merchant in London from a person who was an eyewitness of all the affair. However, as the scholar Philip Edwards has pointed out, the account is a perverse rehashing, sometimes word for word, of Bulkeley's journal, in which every detail is spun to support Cheap's perspective and uphold the long-standing systems of authority. In a war of words, the gunner's journal had been refashioned into a weapon against him. Because of the sheer number of accounts, including those of dubious provenance, perceptions of the wager varied from reader to reader. Bulkeley, whose journal kept being pilfered by hacks, was incensed when he realized that it was increasingly being regarded with suspicion, as if it too might be fake. Within days of Cheap's return to England, the Admiralty issued a summons, publicized in newspapers, for all the Wager's surviving officers, petty officers, and seamen to appear in Portsmouth for a court-martial. The trial, to commence in just a few weeks, would have to pierce through the fog of narratives, the contradictory, the shaded, even the fictitious, to discern what had really happened and thus mete out justice. As the writer Janet Malcolm once observed, the law is the guardian of the ideal of unmediated truth, truth stripped bare of the ornament of narration. The story that can best withstand the attrition of the rules of evidence is the story that wins. Yet no matter which story prevailed, the trial would surely expose how the officers and seamen, part of that vanguard of the British Empire, had descended into an anarchy and savagery. The sad spectacle might even supplant the glorious tale of Anson's capturing the galleon. End of chapter. Okay.
That was quite a chapter to go.
It's getting good now. I'm so fucking happy that we're done with, the sea part. Well, Anson's crew is, yeah. Anson's story was fantastic. But,
Keep your distance, pal.
yeah, fuck. I knew it. I fucking knew there would be. It just doesn't end.
Surprise.
I wonder. I'm curious whose story they're gonna believe based on the evidence. They're probably leaning towards Cheap because obviously he was like officially appointed the captain.
This game is weirdly broken right now, sorry. Oh no. A keypad. Oh, I know why it's broken. It's because I keep fucking touching the keyboard. Well, who do you think they're gonna believe, Terragirl?
England's court system.
The bureaucracy wins again.
I don't know.
What?
I really can't predict where this could potentially go because Bulkeley's journal is very compelling.
Yes.
0805.
That locker.
And Cheap, I don't know, like he seems a bit
That's
He literally, he's not even writing down what he's gonna say. He's just gonna show up to court and be like,
Should take this back.
this is what fucking happened. And he's gonna cause a scene. That's his plan, causing a scene.
Interesting.
Yeah, like he's not, I don't. And John Byron, you know? Oh my god, this fucking kid.
He's only 22.
He's now 22.
He was 18
5
when it
years
started.
after 5 years after they left. And like, yeah, he's walking around town looking like a fucking pauper. And he's like, where's my sister? And he's like, he's literally an aristocrat. He's like, where's my sister? Where's my family? They're like, But yeah, it's crazy. Like, what a fucking story for the kid. He wanted an adventure. He got an adventure. And he survived. He's like literally one of the only survivors in a group of thousands of people.
Oh.
Like, what the fuck? What are the odds? Stick with the captain. Stick with the captain.
Oh!
Oh!
What the hell just happened?
Canopic jar. This shouldn't be here.
That looks like a... Oh my god.
Where does this go?
Where does it go, indeed? Let's find out where this canopic jar goes. There's another one. Oh.
This must fit somewhere.
What's this? Buying that old research journal at the market was the best decision of my life. Now I think I've discovered the antechamber of a tomb that should contain one of the mysterious artifacts and more. The canopic jars alone must be worth something. My professor wouldn't be happy with me. This is not real archaeology, he'd cry. Old fool wants to die poor, but I don't. According to the local hoi polloi, am I saying that right, hoi polloi? The tombs around
Where
here.
are you?
Like.
I would say hoi polloi, yeah.
The tombs around here are haunted or cursed. Obviously complete and utter humbug, but attaching a little nonsense ghost story to any artifact I find should be double the value. It's getting late and I thought I heard something outside. Might not get much sleep tonight. That guy must have died in here. We need to find more of these little things scattered about. Ahoy, Peloy!
Ni hoi manoi!
Ni hoi minoi! Minoi! Miho,
Has to go somewhere.
Doodlebob scared me.
Doodlebob is kind of scary. We just gotta find one more. We have to find something to break through that wall. I think there was something down here. Oh! Mihoi, minoi.
Harrison, can you say the Huimanoi? Right for.
I don't want to fucking say that.
Wow, fucking cringe.
Yeah. Apparently he smokes a lot of weed. I didn't know that, but that's something I found out not long ago. Like he's a big fucking... He's a dude weed dude.
He's a true boomer.
He's a true boomer. Oh, wait.
Literally just sounds like my dad, just a grumpy pothead.
Okay, so these go
A
in...
grumpy pothead that was a 60s kid. 50s, 60s kid.
Okay, so this is the human one.
This.
Human goes with human. Baboon goes with baboon. Oh, I guess I did it.
There you are.
Well, I stumbled on that by complete accident.
It didn't look like an accident.
It kind of was. I fell through the ground.
Oh.
How do I get out of here?
Oh, you're stuck.
Oh god. Ah! Can't you see I'm being chased by a doggy? Oh god. Mihoy minyoy!
Ni hoi manoi.
Ha, Nihoy minyoy. Hello there, little fella. Hello there, little fella. Hello there, little fella. Hello there, little fella.
Hello there, little fella.
Hello there, little fellas.
Hello there, little fellas.
Oh, hello there, big fella.
Hello?
Oh. What am I taking a picture of here? I wanted me to take a picture.
Oh.
What's...
Dish a lot of coal.
Oh, they're dye harvesting.
What kind of dye? Oh, date.
Oh, date.
Beautiful place to live.
But what's the date?
I want to try a date that isn't dried.
Terror Girl. I'm with you on that.
Thanks.
I'm fucking with you on that.
Yeah. I got, my parents and me, just for the family, a Williams Sonoma, like, gift snack Christmas crate.
This would look great in my living room.
And it came with, like, raw almonds and dried dates and 2 really good cheeses, honey, like charcuterie, and sausage. Really nice sausage. And, I tried the date for the first time, but it was, like, raisined. And I'm like, it tastes like raisin. I want to try a non-dried date now.
Terror Girl, you really are a food appreciator.
I think variety is important because nutrients, I'm very aware of nutrients. And I'm happy to get more of them now.
Aywa, I think I have something for you.
Hello, guy.
Dowsarit is a queen, not a guy.
Didn't realize I was speaking to the last pharaoh of the Ramesside dynasty. My apologies, Your Majesty.
Maybe this would tease open your money pouch. Yes, lad.
Not bad. How much?
From beautiful Vienna, I can barely part with it, but I will sell it for a
I was just in Italy. This is
is
an impression to me.
Let me think about it.
I do have to buy it because I can't get into tombs without
I'll
it.
be crawling around Egyptian tombs. A lighter wood coming in.
Excellent lighter.
Oh, it's only 75 coin. I'll take it. It's a nice lighter,
Thanks.
too. Lighter required. I'm feeling lighter all of a sudden. Giza Mysteries and Giza Books. I'm gonna go with Giza Mysteries. How much is this? Holy smokes! I'll buy it.
Alright, I'll have this.
Hey, oh, and then that too?
How much is this? Holy smokes! I'll buy it.
Get it.
I'll take this.
I just sold you out. And your stupid monkey. Oh wow. There's mysteries. Jesus Christ. There's mysteries everywhere.
Hey, little guy.
Hey little guy.
Hey, little fella.
Hey little fella. A
I ate an
world
apple.
of knowledge. Tara, there's a world of knowledge just about everywhere.
I know. I'm trying to learn it.
Tara, that's so wonderful. You're really just a student of life. Of life.
We're all students of life.
Tara, that's so wise. Oh, is this another Fight Club?
Yes, hello. Is this the Fight Club?
Nazis only, I guess.
It's a Nazi Fight Club. The Knuckle Duster Den.
Is this the Nazi Fight Club?
Is this the Knuckle Duster Den? I want to get my knuckles dusted. Why is this door locked? Can't you see I'm trying to get my knuckles dusted? What's this? Oh, they're playing Senate.
Beat solid, Senate. But only once.
What the fuck is Senate? Ooh. Ooh.
Almost as good with you as Sala's uncle.
This guy keeps talking about Sala. Who the hell is Sala?
I don't know.
That's pretty good, dude. This must be the best thing to listen to when you're in the desert.
It'd be nice.
Yep, I concur. But only a little bit.
That'd be super immersive.
Something tells me I can't get in here just yet. Oh, let me up. Oh, damn. I want to do a fucking, what is it called, skip. Oh, boundary skip. Oh, I'm so close.
Oh my god.
I'm gonna do it.
Can you? It looks like it's blocked. Looks like there's a wall there.
I'm gonna do it.
Invisible wall. I think there's an invisible wall, Andrew.
Damn it. No boundary breaking. Don't say I didn't try!
Okay, I promise I won't do that because I was gonna say you didn't try or later.
What?
Sometimes I say things. Sometimes I talk and think at the same time and weird thing comes out.
That's most of the time that I talk.
Weird things come out. I've been doing that a lot more lately, thinking and talking at the same time.
That's because you're a
I've
thinker
been saying
and a
some really
stinker.
weird things, and I've been getting some really weird looks. And responses. Just like that one. Huh?
Terra Girl, you really are a thinker stinker.
A what?
You're a thinker stinker.
What the heck is a thinker stinker?
Why? Why, I'm glad you asked.
Okay, go on.
It's when you're thinking so hard that you're simply stinking. Yep.
I've never heard of this before. That door isn't open.
Do you see what I see?
No, what?
Okay. I thought if he backed off slowly, he would drop down. He would drop down a level. What just happened? That is an insane fire for a little tiny match. Okay, Indy, slow now. What? That worked in Italy. I guess. Okay, what I guess you have to do is you have to like lower the rope and then do it.
I wonder if you can like sidle down your whip
Yeah, that's what I was just saying.
and then, yeah.
Well.
All right.
And I didn't have enough of a swing.
Oh.
Son of a poop! Guys, I swear I'm not the most impatient gamer in the world. Alright, maybe a little
He
bit.
was.
He's the most impatient gamer in the world. Okay. I swear that's what I did last time. What's this? Oh, a Steely. Feeding a sacred crocodile for Sebek, the fertility god. Oh, I love the fertility god. I've been praying to the fertility god.
Oh my god, Andrew.
What?
You almost fell again.
Oh, yeah.
Wait, have you gone to the pyramid yet?
Not yet. Where is the
Can you?
pyramid?
Can you go over there?
You want me to go over the pyramids?
Well, yeah.
But of course.
Go to Giza, the biggest one. Which one's Giza?
I believe...
Why are they the
one.
same size?
Don't look at me, a soldier.
Down you go, pal.
Need it as a weapon. I just cleared this whole place of all the Nazis and now they're all back. Such is life. Fast as dust.
Nice to meet you.
There it is, Tara. I swear it's just out of
Let's
reach.
go.
Oh. Was ist das?
Wait, can you not go over there because of that?
I don't know. Oh.
Oh. Oh my god, oh my god.
Yeah,
Let
you
me
guys
just
saw
see
that.
here. Hey, little, hey, fellas.
Hey, little
Small
fellas.
Little.
Hey, tiny fellas.
Haruksai.
Haruksai.
See, yes, good day. They said that after watching me beat up a fucking Nazi.
Ecklenbeck.
Ecklenbeck.
Etgenbeck.
Darfst du large...
No. Wait. No. Wrong language.
Sorry.
Oh.
That little guy packed a punch.
Alright. What
Let's go to the pyramids.
are those Nazis? Watch this. You're dead. As are you. Watch this.
Oh.
Well, that guy just took one. No longer. Anyone else? I have two more bullets.
Him, over there.
Where?
Right
Oh.
under the bridge.
Oh, shit.
Huh?
Who did that? Anybody else? Just took that, huh? Oh wow, that really brought him out. Bring him out.
What's going on out here? Oh. Oh my god, you're taking on this whole
Oh god.
camp.
Oh god. Where's my hat?
Uh-oh.
My lucky hat.
Oh my god. Seriously? That's what you have to do?
It's a perk you can get,
That's
which
an
I get.
item.
Yeah.
Oh, brother. More Nazis.
Oh, you're very lucky. I'm tired. Oh, get that out of my face.
I know. Oh my god, why didn't he shoot?
He got very nervous.
I'm actually a pacifist. Please leave me alone. Let's go. Can you go in the pyramid?
Oh, I hope so.
I want to go in the pyramid. Can we
I
please
want to go inside, please. I would really, really like to go inside.
I want to know if this is to scale. I want to know.
Is that an ICBM over there? What is that? Wow, this is very big.
My word. Is that how big the stones are?
Yes.
In real life, or are they bigger than this?
I think this is to scale. I think this is very big to scale.
I will need to see a video.
feel like
My word.
burning up.
That's a lot.
I think
Ooh.
I'm losing health from being kind of out of bounds now.
Out of bounds?
I guess, yeah, this is the closest you can get.
Oh my god.
He just went, feels like I'm burning up.
Oh man.
Whoever's up here, I'm going to kick your asses. Just let me climb first. Watch this. Now watch this. I've been working on the railroad all the ling long. Just line it up. All the ling long day. Who spotted me? I've been working on the railroad. Who's next? Ouch! Who fucking did that? Ow. Okay, I bet. Give me a sec, I have to heal. Oh, that's a fruit. I didn't mean to eat the fruit.
Jay. Peter.
That was delicious.
Makes me want to have us. Or a gyro or something.
You're dead. Oh, I'm out of bullets. Ah! Good thing there's more! Oh, fuck. Sit the fuck down. Oh, shit. Die! That guy just took a headshot. And now you're going to die. Wait, where are my bullets? How do I reload? How do you reload this? Okay, it said hold R2. Oh. I'm spitting. I like that I could do this, but now what? Oh, okay. Okay, who's next? Hold on, I need to take a picture.
Funerary temple dig.
By Nazis.
Alright, who's next?
Give you something to believe. 'Cause all you want just to breathe. And I need something more. Oh my god, yes.
Seems like all of you are.
You Nazis, you really need to relax. You look so tight. The faces are so mad.
Why are you all so angry? I did not do anything.
I did nothing to you.
I was just having a little bit of
You're so
fun.
mad at me, and for what?
I'm just having fun. This is just silly. Didn't you hear me singing? I don't even know what I'm doing over here.
Jennifer poops at parties.
What's that?
Jennifer is a party pooper. What? Jennifer. She poops at parties? What is this? She goes...
She defecates?
She goes to the bathroom and at the party and people's nose. People's noses? Does she go... What, does she go in the closet and poop in the closet and people watch her do this? What do you mean Jennifer is a party pooper?
What this means? This is a party pooper.
Jennifer poops at parties. I don't understand this.
Oh no.
People knows this? So hard.
That scares him. Scorpions, what is this bit you're doing?
It's a famous like YouTube video of Flula Borg. And he has an entire series on him making... He plays a German guy who is super naive, and he takes American idioms literally. And he makes videos being very confused about some of our slang terms and idioms and jargon.
Okay.
One of them being like, I was at the office the other day, and my co-worker said, oh, you know, Jennifer, she's a real party pooper. Washed. There's one, it's really funny. There's one that's like, the thumbnails and the titles of the videos are really good too. Titles like,
Ooh, a date.
Scott dropped his kids off at the pool. Scott is a bad father.
But why
There
is
was
this?
another. It goes, Scott, you dropped your kids. What?
Oh.
Why you drop your kids at the pool?
Bam, ba-de-bang.
There was another one called he did one on a Daddy Long Legs spider. That one's funny. It's like Daddy Long Legs. And then there was one there was one titled Black Guy Peas. I do not want you. He thought that,
Black Eyed Peas.
yeah, he thought that, like, black-eyed peas sounds like black guy peas. And so, he was like, I don't want this black guy peas. What's next? White girl poops? What is it? It's so old.
You're both dead. How sad, you both died just like that. For nothing. White girl poops.
Black guy peas. No, I don't want to see
Wait a
black
second.
guy peas.
Tara.
What?
I think we're coming up on the Sphinx.
Oh, okay.
Oh my god. It's so unremarkable.
It's so decomposed.
Should I just start taking people out? Oh wow. There's a lot
Yeah,
of
just start
Nazis.
shooting a sphinx.
There's so many Nazis, I'm not gonna do it. But I will do this. Watch this. Now that's funny! Now that's good! What, I could burn these? I didn't know I could do that. That's cool.
What is up with the fire in this game? Things are so flammable. Oh my god. Jesus. Bonk.
Oh, it seems you're both dead. I'll be taking that.
It's like a giant whack-a-mole. Hammer.
I see you're all friends.
Just
Duck
like that,
soup.
you're all dead. Duck soup? What did he mean by this? Oh, what a shame, you're all dead. I'm like a rebel without a cause.
What is next? White girl poops? What is this?
Oh, look at this.
Dream stealer. Looking to the past.
Santa, do not visit my town, please. That's another title.
Taram.
There's another one. Daddy Longlegs, who did name you? Rock, paper, scissors. Your logic is not right. Shits and giggles, I do not want these. Balls to the wall. This is not effective.
Tara, I'm going inside the Sphinx.
Oh, you are?
Yeah.
Oh, I missed it. The proof is in the pudding. Please, why?
That's really good.
Baseball, you confusion me. A camel toe is not for parties. I don't know what that one's
What is
about.
that even?
I don't know what that one's
What took you
about.
so long, Scramble?
American
nice to
football.
see
Your
you
name, it
too.
is strange.
I'm trying to open this big door, but I don't know how.
Happy as a clam? No.
Oh, interesting. Day 13. Discovered a curious indentation on a wall. Not sure to make of it. Mayor to take over as excavation leader from tomorrow. He will investigate further. Brant. Day 16. Jesus, Gina. Aldebert came by rambling about generators and some power failure. I told him I had no time for his nonsense. That man is nearly as insufferable as his brother. Received telegram from the Vatican. They found the artifacts awaiting Voss's return. Mayor. Day 17. I found a golden medallion. Perhaps you could tell us how to enter the sanctuary of the Guardians. I'll store it in the recreational area until Voss gets back.
The Nazis found some kind of golden medallion. Took it to their recreational area.
That medallion sounds pretty important, don't you think?
You're damn right. Now let's go take it back from them.
You
Just
go.
gotta disguise.
I'll stay here and search for any signs of my sister.
Oh, here's the Scott one. Dropping kids at pool? Scott is a bad father. Eeny, meeny, miny, no. Booties cannot call you. Do not tickle my fancy. YOLO, I dislike you very much.
Who is YOLO?
YOLO, what is this?
Does this
N-word,
guy still
I
do
cannot
stuff?
say you. Oh, black
Edward, I cannot say you. It's funny.
What floats my boat? I tell you, Tina. Black guy peas, I will not eat you. Black guy peas.
What is this? A journal page. Moreau page, May 8th, 1896. Moreau, as glorious as it was mysterious, hundreds of pyramids containing secrets I tremble to imagine. I discovered one such secret in a tomb, a wall covered in beautiful Mariotic script. Having no knowledge of this language, I attempted to interpret some of the symbols. One of them have caught my eye. I had seen it before. In a Coptic manuscript found in Alexandria, the Idol of Ra. Frantically, I searched for other clues in the myriad of hieroglyphics, and there it was, 3 pyramids, one taller than the others, the tomb of King Khufu. That is how I knew the legendary Idol of Ra had to be buried somewhere in Giza. They say it is made out of pure gold. The sun has disappeared beyond the horizon. It's time to sleep, though I fear I shall find it difficult with all the strange noises I've been hearing at night. Everyone's been talking about strange noises at night. What does it all mean?
Shoot the shit? Absolutely not.
I hate this.
Oh, a Nazi fell through here? Whoopsie daisy. Oh, what's this? A present, it would seem. Wait, what's it telling me to do? Oh.
Kick ass and take names. Just select only one, please.
Anybody else?
I do not sleep like a baby. Early bird gets the worms. I am skeptical.
Du hast hier nichts verloren.
Oh shit!
Here's a good title. Don't look a gift horse in the mouth. Oh please, to look is probably okay.
That's good.
Weg damit, sofort!
Oh, he doesn't recognize me. Because I'm wearing my dig site outfit.
Weg mit der Waffe!
I gotta find the gold medallion to get into the Sphinx site. But now they don't recognize me with my cool outfit. Oh, that's why I didn't get my lucky hat thing, because I'm not wearing the Indiana Jones outfit. This is the Nazi recreational area.
Meyer lässt uns also schuften, während er Skat im Zelt des Befehlshabenden spielt? So ist das halt. Wir sind nur Fußvolk. Meinst du, er lässt mich mitmachen, wenn ich hingehe? Als hättest du genug Geld für den Einsatz, um mit Meyer und den Offizieren Skat zu spielen.
Do you guys mind if I go in here?
Du da, bring mir die Flasche. Müsst ihr immer alle rumscheuchen, Meyer?
Oh, nice gold medallion.
Die Flasche. Tu, was Offizier Meyer sagt, Mann.
Ancient medallion with a symbol matching the excavated door in the Sphinx.
Wirst du etwas schlecht?
What? I'm not doing anything. I just want your card.
Das ist nicht deine Kleidung. Du bist ein Amerikaner.
I'm not a spy! Ah!
Manservant or
I'm not a spy. Oh gosh. Oh, this is bad! Oh, this is bad! I just got whacked to death.
Hörst du etwas schlecht?
I just wanted the card is all.
Das ist nicht deine Kleidung.
What? I'm not...
manservant or
Weißt du überhaupt, wie man kämpft?
Ein Treffer!
Let me go! Woo! I'm leaving. Haha, fuck all of you. Oh. Alright, out of the fire, into the frying pan. They'll never find me here. Oh. I just need to... Oh. Oh. Watch this. Oh my god, I hurt that guy so bad he fucking gasped for dear life.
Hier ist einer am Boden!
Blockhead. I didn't even oh!
This sounds interesting.
Whoops. What's this? I could use a bandage. Oh my god. I'm wearing like cool ass Egyptian clothes. I'm sure Indy makes it look cool as hell. Indy's kind of like, well, how do I say this? The master of disguise. Wouldn't you say?
Mm-mm.
Do you think he could get into the Turtley Club?
I think you'd refuse to put that thing on.
I'm not putting that thing on. Oh! Get out of here, dog. That dog just beat me up. Should I light one of these dynamite and throw it? Oh, Jesus! What just happened? What did I do wrong? Okay, well, I'm not throwing the dynamite again. Alright, let's continue this damn mystery. Can you imagine just seeing someone running really fast with a map in their hands?
I'd be a little concerned.
Be like, that guy has somewhere to be. Excuse me, sir, are you looking for the Sphinx just as me? Oh.
Lights out, fella.
Looks like you're in the Sphinx's tomb now. Don't tell me all the Nazis are back here. Hello, guys. Yeah, I'm just a worker. It would be funny watching a worker just drop in like an absolute idiot.
found the medallion?
You're never gonna believe what I have. A
Any
medallion.
signs of Laura?
No, nothing.
I've just been waiting here this whole time. Whoa. Oh, look, Tara, it's a freaking scarab.
I like scarab.
Wow.
This hasn't been disturbed for thousands of years.
Wow.
Maybe because of this huge hole.
Yeah. Watch your step.
I can't see the bottom.
So this is the Sphinx's secret, huh?
It's too dark in here. Oh, you got a lighter.
Yep, bought this little fella at the market.
Well, I hope you didn't buy it from that lady with the monkey. Nawal told me she's a con artist.
No, of course I didn't.
I got you.
I just got booby trapped.
Now what? Look, do you think we can pass through there?
Only one way to find out.
Pass through where? Oh.
Can you get through?
Yeah! Wait there!
Watch this.
The gate is opening! Come on, Strambo!
Hey, slow down, will ya?
Might as well be talking to the wall.
I may be a nuisance, Dr. Jones, but at least you can always count on me.
I'll keep that in mind.
Are these
Whoa.
the guardians?
I would guess so, yeah. These were artisans, masters of their craft. They lived and breathed beauty.
Damn. Just like you, Tara girl.
Another artifact just like the ones in the Vatican. How are they connected?
I need to ignite something. Oh, thank goodness. What is this place?
Wow. What is that? Is that a throne?
I don't know.
Or a tablet? Maybe.
It's almost like an obelisk of its own sorts.
Golden ceremonial mask.
God, it's cold.
Locked tight. It sure is.
Do you think we can
Whoa.
get out of there? The gold mask.
We're sure gonna try.
That's clever. They could choose where to shine the light on those weird person.
They do the Uncharted thing and just shine it at her.
Careful!
They did account for that. Alright.
Yeah,
Oh,
but
okay.
to what?
You thought your little puzzle could outsmart me?
Watch it.
It's just light. Oh, here we go.
Oh, it's wonderful. What is it?
Ceremonial mask, probably worn by the Guardians.
May I see that?
Probably worn by the Guardian.
What if the Guardians of ancient Egypt looked so frightening that they needed this mask to cover their faces?
Not a bad
Yeah,
theory.
that's something a stupid person would say.
Oh, I'm coming for your card, mommy.
Hold still.
What is this, a little memory? Uh-oh. It was a throne, Terry, you're right.
Huh?
It was a throne.
No, wait!
I was right.
Are you alright?
I think so. I'm sorry.
Tara, if we were exploring Egypt and that happened to you, I'd be like, it's okay.
How do we get out of here?
That's very nice of you.
Yeah, I'd be very forgiving.
Oh my god, look at the floor.
Scorpions.
Oh, fuck.
Quick, light my torch. Shaw! Go away! We've got to get out of here!
Tell me about it.
What about that? That looks like a door. It must be the exit. Come on.
Whoa!
Oh no! It's a dead end! Look, there is a torch in sight.
Where? Oh. Okay.
Scram.
Scram.
Over here! This wall looks
Oh.
weak. Can we break that wall?
I'm sure gonna try.
With what?
We need something heavy.
Scram.
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 Ow!
What happened? Is there an exit?
Doubt it.
Can you come over here and help me? God damn it.
Here, I got. I can use this. Just keep the scorpions away from me.
I'm getting friggin' bitten by scorpions. And he's just taking
No,
it.
break the
So-
wall.
Ow! Okay. Come on, dummy.
Come on, go.
What the hell did I just burn? Oh,
Everything's
oh!
so flammable.
Wow, she just jumped right into that. Wait for me! What's this?
Well, these scorpions are gone.
Not out of here just yet.
Ah, don't worry. It's just one more mirror puzzle.
Let's try this.
You broke it.
I broke it. Maybe they should have built it to last 1,000 years longer.
Let's try the other door now.
All right.
I think this could be one of the Guardians.
Maybe we can ask him how to get out of here. It worked!
I'm gonna freaking break it that way.
Looks like one of those pedestals.
But it's missing the
The
mirror.
mirror's missing.
It keeps wanting me to, like... How do we get the mirror back? Maybe we...
You can lift me up here? I can see if there is something we need behind that door.
Yeah, go ahead.
Push me up.
Up! Up!
You good?
I would not go anywhere in the dark after all those scorpions.
Need a light?
It's fine. There's some light coming here. I found something in the rubble. It's another mirror.
Slide it under the door.
Pass it on to...
Here. Take it.
Got it. Now do you see a way out of there?
Yeah. Don't worry.
There we go.
Look. Another mirror.
What the...
Okay, so where do we put it?
What if... I stand over here and you shine that light on me. Then I can reflect it towards that eye symbol on the statue.
That's fucking genius.
Look! The statue!
It's working. It's opening the door.
We did it!
We're not out of the woods just yet.
Yowza, it's dark.
Who built all of this, Dr. Jones?
King Khufu, maybe one of his descendants. Guardians must have been highly regarded by the kings of ancient Egypt to be treated like this.
Who was King Khufu?
That hole. I think we're below the room where we came in.
Oh, you think? Thank goodness someone left all these spare light sources around here. A relic.
We'll just add this to the collection.
King Khufu. Ooh, Khufu.
They don't like the light. See?
Oh, yes. A mirror. Come on, get me up there.
What, you want to go up?
You alright?
Should probably be in my Indiana
You need
Jones
to go
outfit.
around. I tried keeping the scorpions away from you.
Good thinking.
Okay, well, do that. What? She's not doing it. Okay. What am I supposed to be doing here?
Above you. Use the ledge and climb across. Watch your hands.
What is that?
Scorpions on the ledge.
Oh! Oopsie.
You need to go around. I tried keeping the scorpions away from you. Above you. Use the ledge and climb across. Watch your hands.
What is that?
Scorpions on the ledge.
Now what the hell? Oh.
Come on. You're almost there.
Your light beam isn't helping. You are very not helpful, lady.
Thank you.
You are safe. What could be hidden in this tomb?
What's this?
Oh, it's a Steely. It's pretty
Ceiling
cool.
with a guardian motif.
I would feel very bad taking beautiful things from graves and keeping them for myself.
Look, I'm not a grave. History should be unearthed and exposed for everyone. There's a lot you can learn from the past.
That seems I strike a nerve, huh?
Yeah, you're undermining the point of my movies, bitch. Wow, it's dark. Could it be another booby trap? We're about to find out. Oh. Not this time.
We made it back, Dr. Jones.
Let me go first. I can pull you up.
I'm back in my disguise for some reason. As if it wants me to be back in my disguise.
Dai, muoviti, strambo.
I'm trying.
Tara, once this mission is over, we can call it.
Okay.
That was fun, Dr. Jones.
You mean almost dying? A real riot.
You know what I mean. I can see why you like hunting treasures from the past.
Well, maybe I'm just trying to set things right. You know what? Take this back to the wall. Tell her she can put it in her museum.
Are you sure?
He's like, I was gonna bring this back to Cambridge University, but
You're good at this, Dr. Jones. Bringing you alone was such a great idea.
Bringing me along.
Yes, Strambo.
You brought me along.
I did it. I'm a genius.
stupid scorpion.
Why?
Wow. All right. I think that's good for now. And we're going to call it for tonight. Strambo.